Let us all stand. Before we start our class this afternoon, let us pray first. Can someone please lead the prayer? Again, good afternoon, class. Before you take your seat, kindly arrange your chairs properly and pick up the pieces of trash if there's any. Secretary, do we have any absent today? Good. Before we start to discuss our new topic, can someone please recite the topic that we discussed last time? Yes, we discussed the four macro skills, and what are they? Yes, listening, speaking, reading, and writing. But right now, we're going to focus on speaking. But before that, I have here an activity. Are you all familiar with the game Debate with Me? That's good. In this game, there will be two groups, and you already have your respective group, right? Thank you. I have here different topics. The lucky student will choose a number between 1 to 5. Each number has a certain topic. Then he or she will choose if she is agreeing or not to the topic. After that, he or she will pick a student from the other group to debate with him or her. Any question? Congratulations to all of you. You did well on our activity. But class, what do you think is the connection of our activity to our topic today? Yes, very good. But first, here are some unfamiliar words that we may encounter while discussing the topic speaking. First is oratory. Oratory is from the Latin word oratorius for speaking or pleading. Forensic comes from the Latin word forensis meaning in open court or public. Manuscript, a book, document, or piece of music written by hand rather than typed or printed. Impromptu, done without being planned, organized, or rehearsed. And the last is extemporaneous, composed, performed, or uttered on the spur of the moment. Now we're going to define what is speaking. Speaking. Speaking is an act of making vocal sounds. The action of conveying information or expressing one's thoughts and feelings in spoken language. Speaking is what we always use, especially when we are talking to someone. We always use our vocal sounds to speak or to share our thoughts, our feelings in spoken language. Just like what I'm doing right now. I'm speaking, right? So that's the definition of speaking. Now we're now in types of speech. But before um, discuss the types of speech, does any one of you has an idea on the different types of speech? Yes. Thank you. How about the others? An idea? Okay na. It's okay, class. Now, we're going to proceed. First is the entertaining speech. The core purpose of an entertaining speech is to amuse the audience and obviously entertain them. They're usually less formal in nature to help communicate emotions rather than to simply talk about a couple of facts. Let's face it, we want to be entertained after a long day. So we always watching some entertaining speech in YouTube or we're searching even though it's not um, applicable to the topic that we want to hear, but as long as it's entertaining and it make us fun, we're still hearing it. We still want to hear what they're going to say. Um, Yes, any other example? Thank you. Next is informative speech. An informative speech purpose is to simply complex theories into simpler, easier to digest, and less ambiguous ideas. In other words, conveying information accurately. Um, Example is when you want to educate your audience about a certain topic, you'll probably create an informative speech. An informative speech purpose is to simplify complex theories into simpler na that be easier to digest, easier to acquire the knowledge that you want to share with them. Um, some examples of informative speech can be speeches given by staff members in meetings or reporting in your classmates. You're giving um, information about the topic. Next is demonstrative speech. Type of speech you want to give to demonstrate how something works or how to do a certain thing. Example of that is oh, there's one who wants to give an example in informative speech. Yes, thank you. Then again, the third is demonstrative speech. Type of speech you want to give to demonstrate how something works or how to do a certain thing. Example, yes. Especially the math teachers, right? Um, they demonstrate on how to solve a math problem. So, another example is the tutor. Uh, Tutors explaining how to solve the mathematical equations. Chefs describing how to prepare a recipe, and the speeches given by developers demonstrating their products are all examples of demonstrative speeches. The fourth is persuasive speech. A speech is said to be persuasive if the speaker is trying to prove why his or her point of view is right, and by extension, persuade the audience to embrace that point of view. Um, uh-huh. A great example of persuasive speeches is TED or TEDx talks, because a big number of these talks with deal with spreading awareness about various important topics. Just like Ma'am Chad gave to us about the procrastinator. Um, what is his name again? Urban something. Urban, if I'm not mistaken. He wants us to stop being a procrastinator, because being a procrastinator is you can't reach your dream because you you are not even moving, or you slowly moving on what you want to be someday. So I guess that's it. Next, fifth is the motivational speech. Motivational speech. A motivational speech is more dependent on steering emotions instead of persuasions with logic. Of uh, from the root word motivation, you motivate someone or anybody to continue on what he or she is doing. Example of that is when your classmates is slowly giving up on studying, right? You motivate him or her to continue the study. Why? Because um, you want uh, you want to be graduate together. So you motivate him or her to study even though it's difficult, it's hard, there are all challenges despite, and also despite of this pandemic, but still you want to be um, graduate together, so you motivate him or her. Next is impromptu speech. A speech given on the spot without any prior planning or preparation. Impromptu is obviously awkward situation because you don't know what topic you want to say, you don't know what speech you're going to say also. And it being impromptu is more a property than a type on its own, since you can spontaneously give speeches of any type of topic, and it's so awkward because you think, what am I going to say? What should be the topic? Um, is it um, is it going to be like this or this? So impromptu is you don't have any plan. It's an unexpected speech. 7 is oratorical speech. Oratorical speeches are usually quiet, long, and formal in nature. Um, Example of this is when you were in graduation. Uh, it's formal because there's a lot of people. You have the principal, you have your classmates, the parents, and it's quite long because it's a message from the valedictorian or um, salu- uh, yes, from the valedictorian that what he or she goes through to be the top of the class. Next is debate speech. Its main purpose is to justify your stance towards something rather than convince the audience to share your views. This is not just like in persuasive. In debate speech, you're going to stand on what point of view you want to be, if you are agree or not. Just like we did earlier, right? I group you into, so we have sharing our thoughts if we agree or not to that topic. So that's the example of debate speech. Next is forensic speech. Students are expected to research and practice a speech about a certain topic to teach it to an audience. Um, it's called forensic because it's tied like the competitions held in public forums during the time of the ancient Greeks. Hmm. According to the American Forensic Association or AFA, the definition of a forensic speech is the study and practice of public speaking and debate. It's said to be practiced by millions of high school and college students. Um, you, I think the example of this is the uh, student no stu- student council government election. You research on um, the needs, the wants of the students. Then the you're going to explain and demonstrate and teach to the to your um, schoolmates on how we're going to reach that goal. Next is what is speech delivery. Now we're going to tackle about the speech delivery. Speech delivery. Speech delivery refers to the presentation of the speech you have researched, organized, outlined, and practiced. Um, Type of speech. Manuscript. Involves reading your speech word for word from its written form. It's almost a script. Yes. From the root word script. It's a script. Just like we use it especially. I think in some of the speeches that is really long. They use it because it's hard to memorize all those words that you want to say in just a couple of minutes, right? So you have the script to follow, or so you have a idea on what you're going to say. Next is memorize. Involves committing your entire speech to memory. Uh, mm, the difference between manuscript and memorize. The manuscript is you're going to read it in a paper, or in a laptop, in a cell phone, as long as the difference between manuscript and memorize. The manuscript is you're going to read it. When memorize, your all speeches, even if it's 2 pages, 3 pages, you're all memorize all those speeches that you're going to share to your classmates or to your schoolmates. You're all memorize whatever it is. Okay? In the manuscript, you read it word from word because it's in written. Diba? Right. Next is impromptu. A speech that you are asked to deliver with little or no preparation. Just like what I said earlier, impromptu is speech that you are not prepared. You someone asks you or your teacher asks you to have a impromptu speech, which is no preparation speech, even just a little minute or time. You really don't have a speech na example of that is Marinette. Can you have a impromptu speech? You don't know what topic you want to be. You want to say. You don't know uh, what is a certain topic that yun. Edit mo yung tangina kabisit ka. And then the last is the extemporaneous. A speech delivered with some prepared structure such as notes or an outline. In impromptu, I said earlier that it is no um, little time or just a little bit of time a teacher gave you just to be prepared. Um, well, in extemporaneous, you can make extra. You can um, think what idea or topic you want to be, you want to say, you want to do in a speech, and you can make an outline such as notes. You can search it before doing the speech. Yes, and the last is then the last is speaking skills are important for career success, but certainly not limited to one's professional aspirations. Speaking skills can enhance one's personal life and thereby bring about the well-rounded growth that we should all seek. Communication is the backbone of our society. It allows us to form connections, influence decisions, and motivate change. Without communication skills, the ability to progress in the working world and in life itself would be nearly impossible. Public speaking, or any kind of speaking, is one of the most important and most dreaded forms of communication. But we have this phobia when we are going to speak. It's called glossophobia. Glossophobia, or speech anxiety, is the most common fear people have across the globe. Throughout primary school, it is easy to be the student who sits in the back of the classroom and avoids raising his or her hand to dodge such situations. But in the working world, public speaking is a vital skill to have and um, to develop. It affects simple, everyday interactions between coworkers, bosses and employees, marketing professionals and clients, etc. and it can have an enormous impact on your career path and your level of success in your industry, as well as being a student. Communication skills is very important for you to have a great and better communication with your classmates. Because if you don't have the communication skill or able to speak freely, you will feel I may not belong here. Do I deserve to be here? There's a lot of thoughts will there's a lot of thoughts that will come up to your mind that that will lead you to have a speech anxiety or glossophobia, as I said earlier. So in making this presentation, I want you to be more open to speak in freely and to have more communication, to improve more communication skills, even though with your parents, with your friends or classmates, schoolmates. I want you to be open. It's a free country. We can do whatever we want. So speak you um as long as you know that you won't do something bad to someone. And that's all. Thank you. But I have this follow-up question. In this 21st century, why do we need to speak? Okay, thank you. Uh, Now let us have our last activity. I will give you one topic and I want you to choose and use the type of speech you want to use. You can choose informative, persuasive, or demonstrative, etc. It's up to you, class. I will give you 10 minutes to finish that and I will choose again 3 students to share their answers in the class.